Hello and welcome to Crypto Novus, where newbies become masters. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Chris Brown and I'm your host. Today what I want to talk about is this SEC and Ripple controversy and lawsuit that has shaken the world of the cryptocurrency market. And part of the reason why, or the main reason why I'm wanting to do this particular video is I'm an investor in Ripple. And I do believe in the project, and I do believe in maintaining my investment. I do understand, though, that as the price continues to fall, that it gets quite scary. So I want to kind of go into this presentation. Hopefully the information that I present to you kind of helps you along your path and your journey in terms of figuring out what you want to do, whether you want to hold or whether you want to sell. But before we get into that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to give a shout out to Bitcoin IRA. For those of you who are trying to invest into cryptocurrency using an IRA, this was a good organization to check out. And for those of you who may not have an IRA, they do have a IRA saver where you can invest in various cryptocurrencies that they list for as little as a starting price as little as $100. So let's get back to the subject matter at hand, and that is Ripple. I found this article on Cointelegraph, and I always love their illustrations, that really does a really good job of kind of summarizing the situation. And they list the complaint from the SEC. They go on to talk about the history of Ripple and XRP and how they're related to one another. Then it goes down and talks about how XRP is not a Bitcoiner either, which is the whole security versus commodity conversation. And then the probable reaction from their point of view as to what the SEC would say. And they're indicating here that it's likely that the SEC could, again, they don't want to say specifically, classify XRP as a security. But I really think that this argument and this conversation is much bigger than just that classification. I think the classification is a part of the conversation, and there's a couple of videos that I'm going to show as a part of this presentation. That one is from the CEO of Ripple and his kind of rebuttal and response, and then one is a conference, this Islamic Global conference where they talk again about the banking system and XRP, and both of those are very, very interesting. But as I look at this and I step back for a second from all the emotion of the moment, and I look at the history, and just a year ago, Ripple, there was this article that came out by CNBC, and Ripple was basically valued at that point in time as a $10 billion company. And you have to ask yourself the question, and it was based on their valuation of how much money they have raised, et cetera, and how much they held. And so you have to ask the question, how is it that the company was once valued only a year ago at $10 billion, and then all of a sudden this company is now going to go away completely from the marketplace? It doesn't quite make sense. Now, I will give some credit to the SEC. In the fact that the claim that they're making, this was their announcement that they made on the 22nd. This is their press release. And essentially, you know, the Securities Exchange Commission announced that it is filing an action against Ripple Labs Incorporated and its two executives for allegedly they had raised over $1.3 billion through an unregistered ongoing digital asset securities offering. And then the report itself, the actual filing, which I took a look at that today, which is this, it's 71 pages long. And, you know, as you go through and you read it, and you read, I mean, obviously they're listing here, Clearinghouse, Larson, the company itself, and they are, you know, the allegations that are being made and how they're written out, it's pretty strong, without a shadow of a doubt. And it makes you wonder, and it makes you think about what, you know, their position and the bigger picture. But in looking at the bigger picture, I want to show you this video. and we'll start with this one, where the CEO of Ripple basically is responding to some of the questions. So let's just quickly take a look at this.
Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, for a first on CNBC interview. Brad, welcome. Good to have you with us. And this is an interesting story. I'm going to pick up where Kate just left off, which was the idea that investors may have thought that in buying XRP, they
one thing I noticed
buying
about this,
a security that gave them shares or some ownership in Ripple. Why is that
and what does that
wrong
tell me? That
on its face?
There's probably going to be some kind of
first of all,
settlement
Tyler,
that
thanks for
happens
having
between
me. I
these
think
two
this is an important
organizations.
issue. But I think there has been confusion out there.
This is just part
Ripple,
of the process.
As a company, as Kate introduced,
Brad
we have
Garlinghouse,
shareholders. We've raised capital
and
from
his
venture
company
capitalists, from actually
through
institutions, and even banks like Standard
the
Chartered as a
process
shareholder.
of their ultimate
XRP
goal
is a
of
separate
achieving their
thing
ultimate goal.
altogether. It is a currency that trades in the marketplace. In the last 8 years, over $1 trillion of the currency has traded. And so what we find is, the SEC, in my opinion, having watched this for many, many years, taking a position now that is, frankly, I think, with one foot out the door, a little bit incredible to kind of take the position after 8 years.
There are a variety of cryptocurrencies, including XRP and obviously Bitcoin and others. Why do you think the SEC is it something in the structure of your business that makes the SEC concerned that there may be a securities violation of some sort in here? What's different about the way you are structured that would cause them to potentially file a suit?
Well, about 2.5 years ago, a little over 2.5 years ago, the SEC came out proactively and said they did not view Bitcoin as a security. They viewed it as a commodity or currency. Shortly thereafter, they came out and said Ether, the second most valuable cryptocurrency, is also not a security. They then have spent the last 2.5 years going after kind of enforcement by saying that certain initial coin offerings were securities offerings. Actually, I've spoken out in favor of that because I think in many cases those were, in fact. XRP, however, is almost undistinguishable from what is Ether in terms of its decentralization, in terms of the breadth of activity. It's traded on a couple hundred exchanges around the world. And what's amazing to me is not a single other country anywhere has looked at XRP as a security. You've had countries like the UK and Japan and Switzerland and Singapore all come out and say things that make it clear that XRP is a currency. Actually, one other nugget I think is interesting is even here in the U.S., the Department of Justice has viewed XRP as a currency, and the Department of Treasury has viewed XRP as a currency. Sorry, Kate.
That's right, Brad. Kate here. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. I want to ask you mentioned some of those exchanges. I want to ask you about the broader implications for others in the industry. Coinbase is a big name we talk about a lot. They see about 12% of their trading volume in XRP. That company is about to IPO. What would this mean to some of the global exchanges that hold XRP or facilitate trading of XRP on those exchanges?
So about 95% of XRP trading happens outside the United States on exchanges around the world. And so that's outside of the United States SEC jurisdiction. For exchanges like Coinbase that are based here in the United States, one of the reasons why I view this as something that's broader than just, hey, what does this mean for Ripple and XRP? It's what does this mean for the crypto industry here in the United States? The SEC is really picking winners. They're saying there's a duopoly of Bitcoin and Ether are the two digital assets, the cryptocurrencies that will be not regulated by the SEC here in the United States. And it really, I think, sends an ominous sign for innovation around cryptocurrency in the United States. Picking winners in general has not been something the U.S. government should be in the business of doing.
What will happen?
And you mentioned before that
Go ahead,
oh,
Kate.
sorry, Tyler.
No, please, Kate.
That XRP could really go on without Ripple. If you guys sold all of your holdings of XRP, that cryptocurrency could survive. Would you ever consider doing that, divesting all of your cryptocurrency holdings and really focus more on your enterprise payments business? Is that something that Ripple has considered or could do?
It's certainly, I think, one of the ironies of all of this is that for XRP to be a security of a company, the company has to exist. And the point that I have made at various times is that if Ripple, the company, didn't exist, XRP would still thrive around the globe with, a couple hundred exchanges around the world. And there's over 100 different projects, innovative entrepreneurs here in the U.S. and around the world building on top of XRP. And the reason why they're doing that is because XRP is far more efficient in terms of speed, in terms of cost, to settling transactions and using it really as a currency. The power consumption, has been widely reported, of a Bitcoin transaction is dramatically different and costs a lot more.
All right, folks, we got to leave it there. Brad Garlinghouse, thank you for your time today. I'm sure this will be one we'll be following up on. And Kate Rooney, thank you as well. Rahel,
Thank you both.
You bet.
All right.
All right. I thought the video made some pretty good points. I did like, obviously, Brad's demeanor. Obviously, he came across as very confident. He also came across as though he wasn't surprised that this was happening. I mean, he said that he was, but I think he kind of saw this coming, and he almost kind of welcomes it because there is a designation, whether it's a security or a commodity, that he's really looking for and needs to have, and there's a position that the SEC needs to take that will ripple through, no pun intended, the rest of the crypto market as it pertains to other assets. So this is a milestone within the marketplace, and that's why I took so much time today to take a look at it. The one point that I thought that was really good is this one, and that he says, he made a comment about however the SEC chooses to look at XRP, that the majority of their business is around the world, which we'll take a look at here shortly. And he made this statement. This is kind of their rebuttal and their release that they made today, that in the meantime, Ripple will continue to operate and support all of its products outside of the U.S. The majority of our customers aren't in the U.S. The overall XRP volume is largely traded outside the U.S. There are clear rules of the road for using XRP in the UK, Japan, Switzerland, and Singapore, among other places. And this is interesting that about 90% of RippleNet users are outside of the US. So with that being the case, let's just say that 90% is an over-exaggeration and it's 75% or 80%. That's still a very, very large number. So as an investor, I still don't see that this is something I need to get too excited about. I need to kind of let the game play itself out and see where the chips fall. There's a part of me that definitely believes, though, and I'll show you here in this next video, that there's a bigger play here, and that because Ripple Labs and XRP was originally designed for the banking industry, that retail customers or retail investors are kind of a nuisance and in the way. So let's take a look at this video.
I want to get to a few of these. We've got 5 minutes. To Dilip, this question comes from the audience. Many people are using cryptos just to buy and sell and make quick gains out of it. Does it hurt the growth of cryptocurrencies, that usage for a quick buck?
So I mean, it's kind of chicken and egg. You have to create a marketplace. And right now we have about 150, 200 exchanges around the world that trade in XRP. A lot of it, as you say, is very shallow trading by individuals, and that is not the use case that we are pursuing. What we are pursuing is the use of XRP as a financial asset by sophisticated institutions as a bridging mechanism. So does this hurt or harm? Well, it creates a lot of noise, and we certainly don't want that much noise, but we're waiting. And for example, this last quarter, the bulk of XRP sales were to institutional investors. And as this transitions away from retail to institutions who will start to use it for wholesale financial usage, that's when the turning point will come.
Got it. Another question.
Okay, this video was actually done a couple of years ago. This global summit, economic summit, was done a couple of years back. The statements that were made that stuck out to me were basically, it was a repeat that, again, XRP wasn't designed for the retail investor. It was designed for the institutions. And there was the comment there that there's a lot of noise, quote unquote. And that noise is us as retail investors. Then the next statement that was made is that once the noise calms down, or I'm not sure exactly remember how it was phrased, but as soon as the noise goes away, then their business model, which is focusing on partnering with the institutions, can really be achieved. Well, you got to think about what's happening right now. With the price dropping so much, which feels like very much manipulation. I mean, it shot all the way up to 80 cents at the end of November, beginning of December. And now a month later, it's dropped all the way down to 17 cents. I mean, that's what, 68 cent, a 63 cent drop or 78% drop in 30 days. And we're going to look at some price predictions. That doesn't make sense. There's something about this whole thing that doesn't make sense from a retail investor's point of view. From a banker's point of view, or from the institution's point of view, if you want to control the XRP and you want to be able to manage that and you want to be able to control its value, to basically surge the price and then have it drop extremely low to flush out a bunch of retail investors and to scare them so that you can acquire those units back makes a whole lot of sense to me. Which also it implies that there are some big opportunities coming forward with XRP and with these institutions. So now what I want to take a look at is this is what XRP is about. It's the future of the financial network. And when you go back and when you go to their website and you take a look at who they're involved with, I mean, they have, let's see this, that runs on RippleNet. I mean, you got American Express, MoneyGram, Santander, RIA. There's about 300 different organizations in 40 different countries that XRP has a relationship with, and they are using their products. And when you go onto Bank XRP, which is on YouTube, and you start listening to the various videos and conferences that have happened over the years and the use cases, and this is the reason why I first initially invested into Ripple, was its strong use case and strong fundamentals. There's no way that that's all going to go away. The SEC, they may in fact say it's a security. There may be a fine. I can see all that possibly happening. Can't measure that. But in terms of being an investor and letting go of my Ripple, in my deep gut, I just don't feel it. I feel like I just need to be patient and wait this game out, which is my long-term plan. I'm not a short-term investor. I'm a long-term investor. I'm a hodler. My intentions are to stay with various projects, pick them out that make sense to me, and stay with them for the long haul. And that's essentially what I'm going to do here with Ripple. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want to take a look at some price predictions to give us a kind of a sense of what people were thinking about in terms of Ripple, in terms of its value earlier this year. And then we'll kind of close with just what the market cap value is today. So, this is StormGame, which is an exchange. And I love how it says in technical analysis here, the first sentence says, Ripple is meant to be a method of facilitating payments between financial institutions, not an investment vehicle. That's the deal. That is what its model is. And we have to kind of keep that in mind as investors. What is the business model? This goes through and does a really nice job of figuring out what the price should be, or what the price evaluation should be for XRP. Excuse me. And so I'm going to scroll down here. Here's some target prices, and I won't go through and read all this stuff, but essentially it's not much different than it is now from Trading Beast. They've got it hovering around 20 cents, 31 cents. Okay. Wallet Investor, they actually dip down. They think it's going to crash and go down by 2025, go all the way down to 2 cents. This is what I found was interesting. How high could Ripple go? Again, speculation, not sure, but just some projections. So if you look here, it says, if both the crypto market and Ripple's commercial ventures are strong, we could see Ripple's value rise to several dollars per token, perhaps even $5 in the near future. And that was kind of the title of this article. Could it reach $5 by the end of the year? A price of $10 still seems optimistic, but if they go as far as 2025 or 2030, not an impossibility. What is also interesting is there have been some people that have suggested that it could go as high as 100, which is very interesting to me. You have to keep in mind, though, the all-time high for Ripple was, 384, I believe, in 2018. If I was the CEO of Ripple, I'd be wanting to figure out how I can get back to that price tag as quick as I possibly can. And since my product was not designed for the retail investor, I'm not going to look for the retail investor to get me to that value. So then we're going to go here. It says price prediction today based on, that was 17 cents back then. Back when it was 17 cents, it had a market cap of $6 billion. And we'll take a look at that and see what it is today, because it's higher. So here are some price predictions. This was interesting. This is one from Smarterum. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. They gave some interesting projections. And so XRP in 2020, they were off 10 to 15. 2021, there is a thought, and I hadn't seen this before, that XRP could reach as high as 1,000 a coin. Maybe. In 2030, their prediction is that it could be as high as 200 to 300 a coin. Something to think about. You know, why would, in their analysis, whatever programs they use, why would they come up with such high values? And who are the ones that have come up with those values? I mean, I can't see that really happening if I'm looking at something that's, you know, was 80 cents and now dropped down to 17 cents. But it makes me think that the 5 and the 10 are not that far off, to be quite frank. And it is giving me a thought that says here, looking at this paragraph here, says many experts have been reluctant to make Ripple price prediction higher than 500 a coin. I'm just shocked to say that 500 a coin. That just makes me think a lot more about continuing to follow Ripple, continuing to see what the CEO is doing, what the company's doing, who's on board, and continuing to watch their partnerships and how they develop the use cases that they have for their product. I mean, here's some more price predictions. Again, I'm not going to go through and read them. This is with Digital Market News, and there's some good ones here. Again, staying with some of the same prices that we've talked about before, but making some interesting predictions. 5-year prediction that they could be $4 to $8 vicinity, which I thought was really interesting. And then here, when you start listing at some of these, you've got FX Street. They have a range of $3 to $5. Said by the end of 2020, that's going to be off, maybe 2021. Investing Haven puts it at maybe $20, and then maybe $22 could possibly happen with the U.S. lifted. So, you know, again, I definitely will see Ripple reaching its all-time high and surpassing that in this bull run season. The last thing I want to point out is where XRP sits today. Now, mentioned earlier in the year at 17 cents, XRP was sitting at a little over $6 billion. Now, right now, market cap with the crash is sitting at 9.2 billion. Circulating supply at 45 billion. Back then it was at 43. And we're sitting only at 20 cents. So as uneasy as the environment is right now, and as uneasy as it feels to watch the price drop the way that it has, I don't think it's an asset to give up on. I think it's an asset to just stay in the game. So I hope this hasn't been too long of a video. I hope this information has been helpful in helping you make some decisions about this asset and the journey and how you want to respond to it. I've listened to a lot of different YouTubers today, and the range is big from those that say, hey, I'm going to stay the course, to other people are saying jump off ship and there's much safer investments to make. I mean, obviously you have to evaluate your strategy and figure out what you want to do, but here's something else to think about. So again, this is Crypto Novus. My name is Chris Brown, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. And remember, Crypto Novus is where newbies can become masters. Have a blessed night.